The bottleneck for men's mental health is emotional health. I'm going to say that again because it's that important. The bottleneck for men's mental health is emotional health, emotional intelligence, call it whatever you want. It is understanding what's going on within us, gentlemen, so that we don't carry it everywhere we go. It's June right now as I'm shooting this video for you, and it's Men's Mental Health Month. It's an important initiative for many different reasons. But most of the content I see is kind of missing the mark in terms of what needs to be the focus. And see that men are struggling. Yes, that's an important piece of this initiative. But at the same time, as I speak to men, as I lead men in my coaching business here at the Evolved Man, I have sat with hundreds of men as they've tried to navigate their lives, navigate their relationships, and undoubtedly, the biggest thing that gets in the way of them experiencing a certain fullness in their lives is not knowing what to do with what's going on within them. Because for generations, we have been taught as men that your emotions don't really matter. Prioritize things like making money, building things, moving things, basically being a physical specimen, working your ass off, doing all of that stuff, and just leave the emotional stuff to the women or to other people. Like, that's not for you. That's not to be prioritized. And then you find yourselves in these relationships with the women that you love, where you have kids, and emotions become a very large part of your life. As you move through adulthood, life starts stacking more things on top of all the stuff that you walked into adulthood with. Now you have a job, a career, kids, a house to run, bills to pay, all that stuff. Life doesn't slow down. And as life keeps coming at you, you don't have the tools to figure out, what am I feeling? How am I feeling? You can't talk to anybody, at least you don't think you can, because you feel like you're going to be judged for that. Men aren't supposed to feel things in that way. Keep pushing forward, keep moving through it. So you hold it in. You feel like you can't burden your wife or your kids with that because you're the one that's got to steer the ship when shit hits the fan. I empathize with that. But if we keep playing this game that men aren't supposed to feel their feelings and avoid the proper understanding of what needs to be done to move through things rather than carry them with us, we're going to continue to see a worsening condition of the mental health of men. Yes, you can adopt a new mindset. Yes, you can look at things in a different way. You can start to shift your mentality that might brighten your day, having more gratitude. All of this is wonderful. But if the nervous system of a man and the emotional state of a man is ignored because we assume that as men, our job is to just keep pushing through, it is a formula for our own demise. This video is to point out that mental health is important. I'm here for it. I'm going to beat that drum right with you. But we need to shift the narrative to emotional health more than anything else. That's the first intention of this video. Hopefully, up until this point, you understand why that's important. But let's also talk about the ripple effect of what happens when you actually process and move through what's in you. And then after that, we can talk about how to do that. If you got no action steps at the end, what's the point? So we're going to do all of it here. So let's talk ripple effect. What happens when you actually learn to process your emotions? We'll start at ground zero and work our way out from that. You, yourself, as the individual, your life gets better because everything feels less heavy. And when you find yourself in circumstances that don't feel very good, you have tools that will allow you to navigate them without just picking up another weight and carrying it forward. You have things that will allow you to look at it, process it, and put it back down. So first and foremost, you as the individual, your life improves, your mental health improves. You'll have more capacity to actually work with the critical thinking part of your brain because your emotions aren't going to be bogging everything down. So you as the individual absolutely get an improved experience. If we widen the scope and look at your family, maybe you got a wife, maybe you got kids, right? Those relationships are going to get so much deeper because when we don't feel like we can burden these people with our emotions, we feel like it's too much, we don't want to put it on their plate, we kind of keep them at arm's distance as this unconscious way of protecting them from what we've got going on. If we've learned to process our own stuff, one, we can put some of it down, but two, we also learn to articulate in ways that are healthy, that can bring them to the table to help support us rather than just throwing it on their plate and hoping they can figure it out. So the emotional elements, that arm's distance that we tend to have as men, we can kind of eliminate that and grow closer to these people. Another thing that happens when you start to process and understand your own inner world, you start to recognize it in other people. So you might feel right now that you don't really know how to read your wife, read your kids, or what to do when they're feeling something. You tend to panic, you run away. Maybe you get angry because you don't know what to do with it. When you are more emotionally intelligent and more well-versed in your own stuff, you start to see that in other people. Oh, she's feeling stressed. Or man, she's feeling anxious. Or my son over here, he's feeling like he has big feelings. He doesn't know what to do with that. I know how to help him with that because I've now navigated that for myself. So you're able to recognize the pain, the emotion in these other people more readily, which makes you an excellent partner, which makes you an excellent father. And every man that I've ever spoken to in my 8 years of doing this work of helping men, helping couples along the way within their relationships and their families, the number one goal out of all the things that we are doing as men is to build these relationships with people we care about and make sure that they're okay. When you work on your own emotional stuff, you'll be able to take care of them in a more powerful way, which is always going to be a win. And then if we widen the scope even further and look at things exterior to your home, let's say your business or your career, a lot of guys get tripped up in thinking that if I start to work on my feelings, it's going to get in the way of me being productive. I promise you this, if you understand your inner world and are able to kind of move some stuff to the side, get it out of the way, understand it completely so you can finally put it down and leave it behind you, you will absolutely be locked in. You don't want it to take your edge off, right? You want to stay in the lane, stay doing the work without getting taken off center by what you perceive to be the emotions that might get in the way. If you aren't working through processing and getting rid of some of the emotional tension in your body, you're like a Maserati, but you're driving around with the emergency brake on, and that's going to make you suffer in terms of the results that you create. So again, cleaning up the emotional self, so many benefits, so much impact, and it's going to improve everything you touch. Now let's talk about the how. How do I process my emotions? Never even tried it, never even thought about or considered the value in it. So hopefully up until this point, you're like, okay, I'm down. What do I do? There are several modalities that will allow you to start to kind of excavate the inner world of yourself. The first thing I'll say here is stillness, and that could mean a whole lot of different things. Stillness might be just sitting still, literally. It might look like meditation. That's my mode of operation when it comes to stillness. I like to sit still. I like to focus on my breathing. I like to cut out the external stimuli by closing my eyes, putting some AirPods in my ears, and just letting myself chill out. My nervous system then kind of down regulates a notch or two so I can have a lower baseline of what I respond and react to as I walk through the day. Because I got 3 little kids. I've got a wife. I've got a business. My wife owns her own business. Life is chaotic. It's beautiful, but it's chaotic. So having some stillness in my day, just programmed into the work that I do, allows me to take a deep breath for the first time in the day and then move through things after I've sat still rather than trying to rush on to the next thing. Stillness could also be taking a ride on your motorcycle. It could be going for a walk. I know you're not still when those things are happening, but your mind is still. Your nervous system is relaxed. That's the point of stillness. Don't dismiss things that might feel like they don't fit you, like meditation, sitting still, those types of things. They're incredibly powerful. You just have to be willing to try them. That's all. Second thing that I think is incredibly powerful for processing your emotions is journaling. It's not a diary. It's a journal. When you journal, you're taking the contents of your mind and putting them on paper. If you ate a large pizza every night for an entire year, you're going to eventually walk past a mirror and see the physical ramifications of that habit. It will be very obvious that you need to do something about it, and you will take steps to navigate differently. It'll be pretty clear to see that there's some unhealthy habits that need some adjusting, right? Because you can see it with your eyes. The thing about your mind and your heart and your soul, you don't get to see it. It's just running inside of yourself. So you could probably go a year, 5 years, 10 years, feeling like something's off, but not knowing what it is. The journal allows you to take what's going on up here and put it on paper. You can ask yourself prompts like, how am I feeling today? What's bothering me right now? What happened in the last 24 hours that I appreciated? You are taking the ideas and thoughts rattling around in your head and putting them on paper so you can do something with it. If you saw yourself walk past that mirror after a year of large pizzas every night, you'd be like, oh, shit, that's a lot. If you looked at your journal after a week or two of really feeling stressed and overwhelmed, you probably witnessed that something needs to change. Maybe I need to get up earlier and take care of myself. Maybe I need to hit the gym more often. You'll find more solutions by being able to witness what's going on within you and then process from there. Does that make sense? And the last modality doesn't have to be overcomplicated, but it is simply this. Move your body. Exercise. Go for a run. Go to the gym. Do CrossFit. boxing, doesn't matter. Move your body. Why? Because when it comes to the stress chemicals of your body, moving it with intention, getting a sweat going, getting the heart rate up, actually breathing deep because you have to, it allows those stress chemicals to process and move out of you rather than sitting in your chest and making you show up all grumpy in your relationships and making you sit with these thoughts that aren't that fun while you're just sitting at your desk at work. So move your body, find time to. It's not about getting ripped anymore, okay? It was about getting ripped when we were like 18, 20, 25. We're not that old anymore. All fitness is about, all exercise should be about at this point is I'm moving my body so that I can feel physically, mentally, emotionally stable. Okay? So do that. Make these things a practice. Don't just do them one time or do them a couple times in 1 month and feel like all is well. This is something that we need to keep showing up to because, again, the more that we crack open ourselves, put it in a journal, meditate and sit with our feelings and with our thoughts, exercise to flush out the emotional tension in our body, the more continuously you do that, the less pressure will exist inside of you. And you'll be able to navigate life a whole lot lighter. And when it comes to your mental health, you will feel so much better. So please don't just make it about mindset. Don't just make it about David Goggins and all these thoughts that you can think they're going to change your life and all the hustle and grind. Like, stop that. It's about your emotions. You can put up a fight all you want that men don't feel things. We don't do emotions. It's not for us. That's wrong. You're a human being. You have emotions, whether you want to admit that or not. And if you don't take care of them, you will continually suffer. Your mentality, your emotional state, your general energy is not going to be what you want it to be. Be consistent and proactive with how you take care of what's inside of you and watch your mental health improve. So I hope you take this, utilize it, and then come back for more if you found this valuable. There's plenty of content that will take you from where you are to where you want to go. Been doing this for 8 years with guys like yourself. This is stuff that I know like the back of my hand, and I'm happy to give you for free here on YouTube. All right? See ya.